Two experienced firefighters, two young dads ripped from their families as they voluntarily put their lives on the line for their communities.
These guys, you know, they fought hard all day and it just ends like this. It's just unbelievable. Sorry.
The news enough to bring our missing PM back from his controversial Hawaiian holiday.
I don't hold a hose, mate, and I don't sit in the control room, but I know that Australians would want me back at this time after these fatalities.
The usually unapologetic Scott Morrison offering an apology of sorts for, quote, any offence caused by his unannounced leave during a national disaster.
I think on this occasion, John, because there have been such horrendous events that has understandably caused a lot of anxiety, and I deeply regret that, and so does Jenny. But to all those who are affected by the fires, especially, we deeply regret it.
For the ad man of Canberra, it has been a bad week for his brand. A poorly timed shaka, those ScoMo-themed Hawaiian shirts, a whiff of hypocrisy.
I think there are very serious concerns in the community about exercising judgment.
A whole lot of people asking,
so where the bloody hell are you?
And angry protests outside his Sydney home.
I'm now directing a move off this temporarily closed roadway so that we can reopen the road. I warn you that should you fail to comply with my direction, you may be arrested, force may be used. Do you understand this?
13-year-old protester Izzy, shaken but defiant as she was moved on by police.
It was really frightening because they were all in tactical gear and they were like looming over us. It was like I froze.
The schoolgirl today voicing her frustration towards the PM.
I think he's being a coward and I think it's horrendous and it just shows how unfit he is for the role of Prime Minister. And he's deserted us during Australia's time of crisis. We need a leader in this time, a leader who will acknowledge that climate change is the reason behind these fires.
She says his apology doesn't cut it.
He hasn't apologised for not acknowledging the climate change or he hasn't apologised for running off. I think it's weird how it takes two people dying for him to apologise and come back.
Wow, is he pulling no punches there? Well, political reporter with the New Daily, Sam Maiden, she was the one who broke this story. She joins us now. Sam, what do you make of the PM's apology?
I actually think he is genuine and he is genuinely horrified at the idea that people thought that he, wasn't taking this seriously. You could hear it in his voice in that interview on 2GB. He's woken up to the same news that everybody else has, that two beautiful little children have lost their dads, those two volunteer firefighters. And he's a dad himself. He was trying to take his kids on a trip to Hawaii and, he's had to cut that short. So I think that he is genuinely worried that people in Australia will think that, he wasn't, being clean with them about where he was.
I mean, this saga sort of unfolded in quite a bizarre way. What do you think is the biggest mistake that the PM made here?
Well, his office lied about it. His office lied about where he was. I spoke to them on Monday and asked if he was in Hawaii. I was told that was wrong. They were using a lot of tricky language. Even in the statement today, we learned that the acting Prime Minister was David Littleproud. I don't remember anyone telling us that.
Sam, but the lying from his office, as you put it, the evasiveness that sort of surrounded this whole thing, wasn't that kind of inevitable and necessary in the sense that somebody clearly somewhere knew that you couldn't stand up in front of the Australian people in a bushfire crisis and say, I'm off to Hawaii. No matter how you spin it, it just sounds terrible, particularly when it's a place like Hawaii.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, look, my gut instinct is that he was really torn between his duties as a Prime Minister and his duties as a dad, as someone who spent a lot of time away from his family this year because it's an election year. And I think that was a big part of it. But I think he just should have been honest. I think, when you're honest, everything's a lot more simple.
All right, Sam. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I think you raise a good point, Waleed. It's interesting when the phrasing that the PM uses is this: Australians wanted me back, so I came back. When it's really more, well, should you have been gone in the first place? And you're apologising because you kind of got caught out.
So I'm interested in this, though. Should he not have gone? Like, what do we want from him?
Yes,
He doesn't do anything to help in this situation.
No, I think he's got accountability to the Australian people.
What, though?
Well, I think he needs to be here to answer questions. I think he needs to be here when things like the unfortunate deaths of two people unfold. It's a crisis situation. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. you are the leader of the country and the country is essentially on fire. Of course you need to be here. And it blows my mind to some degree that his office thought that no one would notice if the Prime Minister just kind of took off to Hawaii. So
yeah,
it's
really,
disappointing.
It is about our leaders taking on that role almost in a literal sense. It's, when we're all looking for answers, you want someone to be there.
Like a comforter in chief, is what
Exactly. And sometimes that is the role that needs to be fulfilled. And if you're not going to be there is one thing, but then to be trying to sneak out is another.
Well, to be seen to sneak out,
yes.